I am the Tribune. My name is Joshua. Today I'm going to be talking about something very exciting to God, to me, and will be to you too. God's prime time. Now, before we go into what God's prime time is, we have to go into his character about how he is so strategic and he has a rhythm and a beat for everything he does. He works in rhythms. He works in systems. So in order to know his systems and start realizing that he actually does this and he wants to do this with you, you have to get to know his character. In order to get to know his character, you have to be obedient. You have to follow him wherever he goes. Wherever he wants to take you, that's where you need to go. Now, if he moves over here, you need to move over there with him. If you like it over here and he moves over here and you want to stay over here, you miss the rhythm. You miss the beat. His beat is over here now. And the thing is, you want to mirror wherever he is. And that's how you start picking up what his rhythms are, and you will be able to relish his strategy in preparation. This is about preparation. I want to talk to people who either have something from God that they think is going to take billions of years to prepare, and you don't even know where to start. And I also want to talk to people who want to go in that direction so they know what to expect and they know how to not waste time and they know how to not waste their energy and be stressed. Because it is the most stressful thing when you don't understand God's rhythm and you are going opposite of everything he's doing and you're going over here and you don't know what's going on and you're mad. And he's like, well, but every time I tell you I'm moving, you want to go over here because you think I told you something and you think this is the way to do it. No, it's not the way to do it. Come with me. That's what he's thinking. Now, you might say, I don't need that rhythm. I'm doing well already. Well, doing well at what? What are you doing that is so well that you think you don't need God's rhythm? And if you are, you definitely aren't working with God at all. It means you're missing out big time. You're missing out because you are not in rhythm, which means you cannot experience God's prime time. Now, this will settle everything. I'm going to explain to you what prime time is. Prime time is when God gives you something that is so crazy that you think it's going to take billions of years to prepare and you are going to die before you even start actually doing it because it's too much. It's too complicated. You've never seen it before. This is when you need prime time. You need prime time because he needs to show you that he can prepare something in a fraction of the time. You need to know how fast he can move, and that's what helps you be patient when he's not moving as fast as you want him to move. That's how it works. So prime time is being in rhythm with God so that when he's ready to start preparing something in an expedited way, you are right there with him and you will get done in a month, in 2 years, in 3 years, what would take normal people 30 years to do, even if they could even connect with the idea. Because this idea I'm talking about, that God's going to give you, if he hasn't already, these missions are so awesome that people can't even touch them on their own. You can't even know they exist. That's what's hard about the process, is that a lot of the times people compare themselves with Satan's children. Christians compare themselves with Satan's children and they think, oh, because they have this, I need to have that because it looks nice. But they're missing the mark and they're missing God's rhythm, because you don't need prime time for the things that Satan's children have, because you can get those things done in your lifetime. You don't need prime time for those things. So anybody you see that you think that they're so successful, you list the person you think is the most successful in the world, I'll tell you, if they did not do it with God, they didn't need prime time. That means it's too small. That means it doesn't mean too much. That means that, oh, okay, yeah, it's great for Satan's children, but for God it's foolishness. That's what that means, because you didn't need prime time. You could, on your own, prepare this and do it in your lifetime. But when God gives you something, you need expedited processes with Him. Now, when I say expedited processes, I'm not saying that He's rushing. And I'm not saying that things don't take time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the things that He has to prepare with you cannot be done in time unless He gives you the grace to do it, which means He gives you the strategy, which means you're actually listening to Him and actually taking your pencil or taking your keyboard, and instead of struggling on a script for 7 years, which we all hear about people doing, instead of struggling for 7 years on a script, you will write a perfect script in 2 weeks that Satan's children think you spent 20 years doing. Not because you're so good, but because you listen to God. You got to be His friend, and He's telling you, just like I'm talking to you guys, He's telling you inside how to write this script. This works with everything. This works with anything you can think of. Now, this is why I think it's very foolish to just focus on school and the academics and go through this cookie cutter process. I'm not saying that people like dentists and doctors and people working on your cars, they shouldn't be trained, and they shouldn't know have the knowledge to actually perform effectively to save lives. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking to people who are preparing for things that haven't been seen before, and they're actually trying to manifest God's wonders that cannot be taught in a cookie cutter university. That's who I'm talking to. So, when you think about prime time, I first want you guys to think about relationships, because that's what God's concerned about first. Your relationship with God is the first thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters, because if there's no relationship with God, then you are not going to know the rhythm, which means you're not going to be on beat, which means that when He's ready to expedite your preparation, you are over here, which means it cannot be done. And what happens is, you then, after you miss that window, then you have to find Him, and He will make sure you find Him, and then you got to get back into step, and then when He's ready again, you can come back and He'll expedite again, but then you have to go through the process again. Because there's certain things that have windows. It's really important. The windows are so important. And it's arrogant of us to think that we know what we're doing. We know what God wants us to do. We know the timing of it. We don't. It's impossible for you to know. You have to talk to God about it. It's arrogance, which is foolishness. And in fact, if you think that you know the timing of everything and you think you know exactly how everything's supposed to happen, He will prove you wrong just to make a point. Not because He's mean, but because He wants you to understand your best interest is to partner with Him and be His friend. That's what matters. And He's so loving. So, for people who are about to go on this journey, who are already on the journey, who are frustrated because they feel like what God's told them is so lofty and they're discouraged. For those kind of people, you have to know that He wants to complete it, and He, in His timing, will expedite the preparation of that thing. In fact, if He's not moving in the pace that you think He should be moving, and you're so focused on getting that thing ready, maybe it's that He's trying to get you ready on the inside first. The problem is not preparing the thing. That takes not that long. Trust me. What matters is that you're ready on the inside. So He'll spend time on the inside knowing that when I'm ready to prepare the actual mission and the actual thing you're going to be touching, that is the easiest thing to do. That takes nothing, actually. It takes nothing. The hardest part is dealing with yourself. listening to what he's telling you, teaching you strategies, how to deal with your enemies, how to deal with things that aren't your enemies, how to have focus, how to have discipline. These are the things he's more concerned about, and that's why he's taking a little bit of time. So if you really want to get on track with this, what you should do is actually focus on the things that he's focused on right now, knowing that when he switches over to what you want, it'll happen fast for you. That's what you need to know. And if you think that I'm telling you about preparation for something foolish, you should. I hope that you know that that's not true. I'm not talking about preparing what Satan's children have. Nothing that they have. I'm not talking about anything like that, because you don't need what I'm saying for that. If you're trying to do creativity like Satan's children and even good creativity on that level, you still don't need what I'm saying. What you need is to come and try to find what God's creativity is, and that's when you need what I'm saying. And this is what you have to keep in mind. So I hope this encouraged you. Whoever you are, I hope it encouraged you. I hope that you realize how God is. I hope I showed you a little piece of his character, of his agenda, so you understand what's happening, so that you can get on track faster. That's what I hope. And if that is the case, even one person who can just receive this and actually start focusing, operating like this, that's enough, because one person who's thinking like this can change the entire world. He doesn't need 50 people. He doesn't need thousands. He really doesn't. That's how awesome he is. So, whoever you are, keep these things in mind. I hope there's many out there who this helps. And I believe there are, though. There are, because this is the new era. Getting God's prime time. After he tells you the unbelievable, wonderful treasure he has for you, get in rhythm so that you're on beat. And then you will hit prime time. And I'm sure there will be much more on this topic, because it's such a beautiful topic and it's so valuable. And it creates easy process, no stress in this area. You don't need to stress about how long it's going to take. That doesn't make any sense. It means you don't trust God. That's what that means, which means you don't know him. So make sure that you move in this direction. It's really important. Hail Jehovah.